Boy, Carlitos here.
Yesterday we did this. I told you guys that this line and this line are parallel, and you knew that because they were marked as parallel. And I asked you to student that. Once you know these two lines are parallel, what can you conclude or what can you say about a specific set of angles? Okay, so you're saying that angles can be the same. Okay, now because these lines are parallel, you know that these angles are equal. That was yesterday. So, huge break. Today, you know that these angles are equal, and you can say now the lines are parallel. So we're going backwards. Yesterday, step 1, the lines are parallel. Step 2, you say the angles are equal. Today, step 1, the angles are equal. And you conclude you have to add the lines are parallel. So yesterday we were describing angles because lines are parallel. Today we're describing parallelism because the angles are congruent. We are just going backwards. Does that kind of make sense? So yesterday this was step 1. Lines are parallel. This was step 2. This was the student input. Today, this is step 1. The angles are congruent. The student input is right here, step 2. So you should be saying words like A and B are parallel today, or C and D are parallel. Alright? So the bulk of the notes is right here. Alright, so you can follow along. I need you guys to identify a pair of corresponding angles just like you will have to do on your quiz.
1-5.
So if angle 1 is congruent to angle 5, if those two angles are congruent, you can conclude that
1 and 5
A is parallel to B. So if corresponding angles are congruent, then A and B are parallel. Now I need you to identify a pair of alternate interior angles. If 3 and 6 are congruent, you can conclude that
A and B are parallel.
A is parallel to B. I'm giving you guys tools to determine if lines are parallel or not. Now, this one's just a little different. These are same side interior angles. So 4 and 6, if 4 is supplementary to 6, which means if 4 and 6 add up to 180, then you can conclude that A is parallel to B. You're making the same conclusion every time. You're just using a different reason to conclude that. Now, identify a pair of alternate exterior angles. 2 and 7. If 2 and 7 are congruent, then you can conclude that
A is parallel to B.
Perfect. So your sole purpose in life today is to determine if lines are parallel, or to force lines to be parallel. That's your whole job today. So you'll see a question like this. It says, for what value of x are those two lines parallel? And you have to think, is this a chocolate or vanilla question? Those are the only two flavors that exist in the ice cream universe, chocolate and vanilla.
What about strawberry?
Listen, in your geometry life, there's only two types of math that exist right now. They are equal or they are supplementary. So you have to think, are those two angles equal or supplementary?
Equal.
Now, and you have to kind of justify why these two angles should
Vertical angles.
No,
Because that's not the same.
because they do not share a vertex. Those are alternate exterior angles. And if alternate exterior angles are equal, the lines are parallel. So how do I force those two angles to be equal to each other? How do you force? You make them equal. You say, I need this piece
Be equal to this piece.
to be equal to this piece. You are the math master. You force those two things to be equal to each other.
That's a lot. I think this is.
No.
I'm gonna have to count this.
So you add 22 to both sides. And then
Divide by 2.
270.
now, I'm going to ask you, somebody, to make a beautiful geometric statement based on the mathematics we just accomplished.
Give.
Okay, that was a basic mathematical statement. I want beautiful. Do you want a hint? Okay, here's your hint. If x equals 70, then
2x minus 22 is equal.
what is your sole purpose in geometry today?
To figure that they're
Wait,
both
I got it.
parallel.
I know.
Alright, go ahead. If
x equals 70, then 2x minus 22 is parallel to 118. Or am I doing that wrong?
you're close. So he said
I'm
is.
not.
Now he knows that if x equals
It's
70,
parallel.
something is parallel to something
Yeah.
else.
Oh, C to C. Parallel to B.
Perfect. Guys, if x equals 70, C is parallel to B.
I didn't see
That is the most beautiful statement you could ever say.
No, it's not.
If x equals 70, this angle is now
Pretty basic.
118 degrees. If x is anything but 70, let's say that x is 50. If x is 50, this angle becomes 68 degrees. So when x is 50, are those two lines parallel? No. But when x is 70, are those lines parallel? Yes. Perfect. So you force those two lines to be parallel by saying x has to be 70. Okay, the numbers confuse you guys just a little bit, so let's take the numbers away. And now I just need to know what is parallel to what? Oh. Let's take a journey back 5 weeks ago.
A and C.
No.
Don't tell me how to live my geometry journey. 5 weeks ago, you guys learned how to name a line. How many points does it take to name a line? 2. So you should be saying something like A, B,
C.
Line
C.
A and B are parallel to line C.
So you're saying that line AB is parallel to line CB.
No, I got it.
So let's explore that for a second. This could be hard to see. Do you see this angle right here? So this angle is connected to this line and this line. Do you see this angle right here? It's connected to this line and this line. So I have just drawn or illustrated a transversal and two lines.
I got it.
Can you justify that line AB is parallel to line CD? What special angle pair has to be congruent for those two lines to be parallel?
Vertical angle.
No!
Uh,
Alternate exterior angles.
I'm just gonna keep on.
Carlos, vertical angles look like this.
Yeah, saying
Okay?
Eventually it'll be right.
Yeah, it does. I'm gonna keep on saying it so it's easier.
Please don't. Okay? Because you'll confuse everybody on the internet. Assuming people are actually watching these videos. Okay? So this is your goal right now. Tell me that AB is parallel to CD. because
Very cool.
alternate exterior angles are congruent. Now, the only way to make this more complicated is to
Add vertical.
add more lines.
Hold on.
Right? So we had 4 lines, now we have 5. It's not a big deal.
It's a big.
I'm asking you to justify which 2 lines are parallel.
Line W, line Z.
So you're saying that this line is parallel to this line. Now, if I trace this angle right here, it's connected to this green line on the bottom and this
That
line
line.
shooting through. If I trace the top angle, it's connected to the top line and the line shooting through. Does that provide an example of angle pairs that could be congruent? What do you call those angle pairs? Those are alternate interior angles. Alternate sides of the transversal inside the lines.
I'm not joking about the same.
So, line WX is proven to be parallel to line YZ because alternate interior angles are congruent. Isn't it fun with no numbers? Alright, let's just do one more.
But alternate interior.
Remember, your answer should be this line is parallel to that line.
Line Q is parallel to G because alternate.
So I prefer to say line in Q is parallel to line OG, because OG is just going to say. And here's how he got there. This line angle connects this line to this one. Conversely, this angle connects these 2 lines.
And Q
So
is equal
QO
to
is the transversal, and QN and GO are the lines that they
I
connect.
have the answer too. You just
The answer's been written up there for a while.
yeah.
So, better or worse with numbers, without numbers? You like it more with no numbers?
You have to concentrate more with numbers.
Okay, so let's go back to the numbers.
No.
I can guarantee you with absolute 100% certainty that you will see a question like this on your quiz.
Wait, I'm sorry.
And your quiz is tomorrow. Your quiz has 9 matching, if you will, questions saying alternate interior, alternate exterior, same side interior, vertical angles
Yes,
will be on your
thank you.
quiz tomorrow.
I wanted that one.
And you will have 2 mathematical application questions, one looking similar to this. So I'm asking you, for what value of x are those 2 lines parallel? And you have to choose, is it
Corresponding
chocolate
angles.
or vanilla question? Are they congruent or are they supplementary? They are congruent, so you force them to be congruent.
Corresponding angles.
Because they're corresponding angles have to be congruent. So you make them congruent. And then you solve it. And tell me what value of x makes them congruent to corresponding angles. Subtract 16 from both sides. Divide both sides by 2.
X equals 60.
55.
All I answered.
So, when x is 55, line G is parallel to line H. So there will be one flavor of ice cream tomorrow where you have to set them equal to each other. What do you expect the other flavor to be? So the other scenario, in the other question that's on your quiz, do you expect those 2 angles to be congruent, equal, or supplementary?
Supplementary.
So in order for line G and line H to be parallel, these 2 angles must add up to 180
Same side
degrees.
interior.
Because they are same side interior angles. So 6x and plus 20x minus 2
Equals 180.
26. Perfect. I would always combine like terms first. 26x's minus 2 equals 180.
And 2.
add 2 to both sides.
Now do a math calculator.
My calculator is broken today.
That's me.
Josiah's isn't. Definitely already has his out, you're just not using it for math.
Oh.
7. Well done. So I use this opportunity to present to you that you might want to grab a calculator tomorrow for your quiz. So when x equals 7, those two lines are parallel because they are supplementary.
Whatever you said.
I said when x equals 7, line G is parallel to line H because those same side interior angles are supplementary. Guys, you even speaking English. So, what do you think those two angles are? Congruent or
Congruent.
That's what I need you guys to know. They are congruent.
Alternate.
And then we're gonna finish right here today. Here's where we're gonna end. Now, in this scenario, I know that you want to say, hey Baker, angle 4 and angle 5 are alternate interior angles. So that proves they are parallel. But I want you to go a roundabout way of doing it. So don't use the TI calculator. I want you to use the iPhone calculator. Go a different way to prove that G and H are parallel.
Choose substitution.
Now, number 2. Carlos, I don't even know why. Carlos, nobody else but Carlos. Why are angle 1 and angle 4
That was
congruent to each other?
Because if you look at 5, one is the corresponding angle.
What was your
That you've
favorite
been answering
answer?
all day, that you've been trying to
Vertical
get.
angle.
Angle 1 and angle 4 are proven to be congruent because they are vertical
I
angles.
was giving up there. I was like, it's not
1
going to
and
show
5 are
anything.
corresponding.
No. Unfortunately, we cannot say that. Now, Josiah says that 1 and 5 are corresponding angles. I agree with you 100%. But they're saying that 1 and 5 are congruent. We don't know that. Because if they are congruent, the lines are parallel. I'm trying to prove they are congruent. Now, there is a sneaky way they have come about the fact that they are congruent. Watch. If 1 and 4 are congruent, and 4 and 5 are congruent, the transitive property proves that they are congruent. The only way to justify that they are congruent is already knowing the lines are parallel, and that's what we're trying to prove. So this is called the transitive property. Now that we have used Team iPhone Math to prove that angle 1 and angle 5 are congruent, what do we know when corresponding angles are congruent? So why are these lines parallel? Because corresponding angles
See
are congruent. Are congruent. Okay.